The hats make the jellyfish cyborgs? Cat says the hats make the jellyfish cyborgs, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. Lockpick says, I'm not comfortable how non-inclusive towards cyborg jellyfish this conversation is becoming. You're right, Lockpick. You're right. And to all the cyborg jellyfish and giant cyborg squid, I apologize. I should have an open mind about what we do with the world. I'm moving right along. This is yikes. Yikes. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly presents Weekly Broken News with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. This is a pre-recorded episode live in front of a home Twitch audience, or live if you're on home Twitch. I would like to remind you that this is not a news show, and this is not a news show, and I am not a journalist. All the views expressed herein are 100% correct and verifiable as opinions. Now, this week, I'd like to begin with a completely unsurprising turn of events where the two major party presumptive nominees have become their party representatives in this inevitable progression of the bipolar nature of this nation's... You know what, friends? Let's face it. This election is crap. None of us want either candidate. Except for, a vocal minority on one side. And the rest of us, we really just can't tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi. And that's why I drink RC Cola. Me and my RC. Sponsor me. Please sponsor me. And moving right along to some real political news. First up, from the Washington Post via MSN.com, elderly presidential candidate goes on a weird riff about acid again. The article opens with the following paragraph. For his interview with Newsmax's Greg Kelly, Donald Trump didn't stray far from home. The two sat down in uncomfortable-looking formal chairs in one of Mar-a-Lago's self-consciously ornate rooms for a discussion about how inept President Biden is. Quote, "We have a man that can't talk," Trump said of Biden. He can't negotiate, he doesn't know he's alive. As a result, he concluded, this is a very dangerous time for our country. All of this came shortly after Trump claimed that Hillary Clinton had destroyed some emails with acid. An assertion that is not only untrue, but has also been debunked countless times over the past 8 years. But it's still lodged in his brain somehow, and he is unable or unwilling to dislodge it. Unquote. After debunking the acid myth again and touching on several other points, the article ends with a beautiful and thoughtful line, quote, "This raises an interesting and to Trump unhelpful question. Which is more worrisome, a president who at times forgets the truth or one who is relentlessly unwilling to acknowledge it?" How do you destroy emails with acid? I mean, other than taking a bunch of it and trying to erase that part of your own memory. I'm gonna be working on that one for a minute. Next up, from Newsweek, Texas newspaper issues warning about secession. From the article, quote, "In an opinion piece published on Saturday titled, quote, 'Texas viewers beware of pro-secession candidates,' end quote, the Dallas Morning News editorial board raised concerns over Republican candidates signing the Take Texas Back pledge. As Super Tuesday approaches, Republican primary voters in Texas should be aware a worrying number of candidates for the Texas House of Representatives and other offices have signed the Take Texas Back pledge that makes them promise to advance leadership to help Texas secede from the United States under certain conditions." End quote, the opinion piece read. The Take Texas Back pledge asks candidates to promise that if elected, they will place the interests of Texas before any nation or political entity. By signing the pledge, candidates also promise to advance legislation to call for a referendum for Texas to assert their status as an independent nation if a majority of residents are interested. According to the newspaper, over 150 people have signed the pledge so far.
There was nothing left for us but darkness, fear, and ruin. And also there was an eclipse.
I wonder how Texas is going to meet their power needs if they secede. Hey, Lockpick. Good to see you and your dancing pickles. Cat says, "You know, politicians always keep their promises." Texas tender feet trotting for terms trying to tie tails to tired token truancy threats. Typesetter tattles on troublemakers' themes, tendencies, and tricks. Had a rough start, but I got there. Lockpick says, "Hope your weekend is treating you well." Thank you, Lockpick. I'm muddling through. There was a good deal of audio problems this morning before I got to stream, but I think I've managed to work most of them out for now, and I'm gonna have to go through and figure a whole bunch of stuff out later. So before things fall apart again, we're gonna move along to this next story from Newsweek. Trigger warning. Mention of SA and religious idiots. IDJUTS. That's how the ASOC prod spelled it. Religious idiots. I feel like I need a sip of RC before this story. Sponsor me. Please sponsor me. So yes, trigger warning, mention of SA and religious idiots. Newsweek. Liberty University slams Biden administration after $14 million fine. $14 million fine. Quote, Liberty University, the private evangelical school, said it has repeatedly endured selective and unfair treatment from the federal government after it was fined millions for failing to adhere to student safety guidelines, unquote. Those safety guidelines? Quote, the U.S. Department of Education determined that Liberty had failed to meet crime reporting standards and had discouraged students from speaking out, violating the Janine Cleary Disclosure of Campus Security Policy and Campus Crime Statistics Act. In far less pretty terms, the university actively discouraged SA victims from reporting their cases, and after getting caught, Liberty University is now whining about unfair treatment. How were they caught? A large group of students and staff sued Liberty University for what had happened, and the Department of Education investigated. You know, trying to claim that you are being targeted in this situation holds about as much water and leaves about the same taste as a scummy landlord using a sieve to put out a fire and saying, I tried. What does Falwell Jr. give for a... I'm not gonna make this joke. Lockpick says, does pissing on a fire count? Yes. Jerry Falwell Jr. I believe he got in some trouble for pissing on a fire a while back. I do not feel good about any jokes that I'm about to make, not because they're at Liberty University's expense, but because I don't feel like touching something that scummy with my own hands. To Lockpick saying, does pissing on a fire count? Cat says, yep. Lockpick says, I got in trouble for pissing on a redhead, but it doesn't feel the same. Cat says, no, Lockpick, not the same. I mean, I know we're not a family-friendly show exactly. I guess it depends on which family, though. Okay, moving on to Bare and Balanced Fox News. LA prosecutor says boss Gascon sent cops to intimidate her at home after blowing whistle on soft on crime memo. The memo, quote, reportedly urged prosecutors not to pursue criminal cases against suspects accused of street racing, reckless driving, and street takeovers that don't result in injuries. It's like saying if somebody shoots at somebody else and they're a bad shot and they miss, we're not going to file charges because nothing happened. Tatiana Kahoyan said. Now what the memo does or doesn't say is really not an issue. This is Fox News, so that drama is most likely overblown anyway. What is interesting, though, is that instead of sending an email, setting up a Zoom call, or having an in-person meeting like normal, partially sane employers do, this person sent a sergeant with the DA's Bureau of Investigation, an in-house police force, to hand-deliver a written reprimand, even leaning as far left as possible to correct for all the Fox spin. That still sounds sketchy as heck. That sounds to me like a community college 101 figure drawing class. A whole lot of sketch. And now back to an old favorite here. Escaped animals or Ark on the Lab. From Science Alert, December 8th, 2018. Rare Hawaiian monk seals keep getting eels stuck up their noses. That's an interesting place to put that. ASOC Prod note, I don't have to write this one, just sharing quotes is enough. Although you may want to share the picture, or maybe not. Quote, it's just so shocking, Claire Simone, a veterinarian and monk seal expert based in Hawaii, told the Washington Post on Thursday. It's an animal that has another animal stuck up its nose. The picture, taken in the remote northwestern Hawaiian Islands, has since gone viral, drawing attention to a rare phenomenon that continues to baffle scientists such as Charles Littman, who is now begging the endangered seals to make better choices. It was just like, we found a seal with an eel stuck in its nose. Do we have a protocol? There was none. And it took several emails and phone calls before the decision was made to grab the eel and try pulling it out. Researchers have already determined that this is not the result of a human with a personal vendetta against seals and eels. Oh, I couldn't make it through that sentence with a straight face. I'm trying to picture a human with a vendetta against seals and eels.
Rock and roll. Here we go.
That's a good one. Because all the cases were reported from remote islands that are frequented only by scientists, quote, we have no idea why this is suddenly happening, Littman said. I'm stuck in my head picturing a really angry person with a seal and an eel going, get in there! Just get in there! Please sponsor me. Moving along to something from popsci.com from November 30th of Lockpick says, side question, are eels powered by D cells?
Rock and roll.
I thought they were powered by E cells.
Here we go.
No, I think they are powered by AAA or AAA, says Cat. I'm all of a sudden very worried about where this is going. Because we're talking about things with batteries going places. And I feel like this is just a horrible invitation for Lockpick to insert himself. Lockpick says, oh, by AAA batteries. Lockpick says, at Cat, that would definitely make them smaller and easier to store in a nightstand. Thank you, Cat. Appreciate that. Someone just spammed some promotional stuff in the chat, and Cat was right on that. I feel like there's a Dr. Seuss thing about to happen. Dr. Seuss book about Cat in the chat. I'm scared now. Cat says, yeah, it would. Yeah, it would, Lockpick. Someplace in the handbasket I'm weaving. Don't worry. I'll make it big enough for y'all to join me. Lockpick says, click, click, click. Did you give the bot a kick? Hi, Master Rasta 420. Good to see you. Not sure what you've stumbled into. But we're having fun, so that's what matters. Next up, from popsci.com, November 30th of 2021. Scientists created living xenobots that self-replicate. From the article, robots built from frog cells have unlocked the ability to self-replicate. Robots that create offshoots of themselves could be a future tool for scientists in medication, unquote. Thanks to a team of bright people from the University of Vermont, Tufts University, and Harvard University, we now have this article and this quote from the article. Quote, when the researchers say the bots can self-replicate, it doesn't mean they actually reproduce. What they mean is that the C-shaped formation, the cluster, can propel itself around a petri dish with the help of hair-like cilia, which sit on the outside of each cell. As it moves, the cluster gathers up other stray cells and bundles them until they form their own xenobot. But this process doesn't go on forever. The cells were only able to do this for a few generations of xenobots. End quote. The article does not mention any specific uses that are planned for these xenobots, or if it did, it was skimmed over due to shuddering at the thought. Lockpick says, Klaatu Barada Nikto, let's start the hunt for Sarah Connor. Have you seen this boy? Cat says, this is the nightmare fuel I did not inflict last Sunday. Thank you, Cat. I'm glad you didn't. Master Rasta says, sounds like the Borg. It does sound like the Borg. It also sounds like replicators in the Stargate SG-1 TV show, which were ultimately more terrifying than the Borg. Master Rasta says, OMG, yes, love that show. It was good. It was good. I can't remember what the name of the actor who played the scientist was, but I remember he did a better job of being, oh gosh darn it, now his name escapes me. Well, anyway, it was a good show. Lockpick says, are the Xenobots powered by AAA batteries? And do they have a thing for seals? I think the Xenobots are powered by those rechargeable little, pancake watch batteries, except for mine microscopic. And I think the Xenobots, no, Trevor, don't say that. That joke was not. We're going to go with what Kat says. Solar powered, and they might. I haven't asked. Much safer than whatever was about to come out of my mouth. Also from popsci.com, hat-wearing cyborg jellyfish could one day explore the ocean depths. Hat-wearing cyborg jellyfish. I did say that. The article says, to better understand the ocean's overall health, researchers hope to harness some of evolution's simplest creatures as tools to assess aquatic ecosystems. All they need is $20 worth of materials, a 3D printer, and some jellyfish hats. It's the jellyfish hat that throws me off. This article has everything. Pacemaker-like devices, bioethicists, ethically principled, brainless creatures. Oh wait, drat. They are talking about using jellyfish, not about putting jellyfish hats on politicians and making them be useful for once. Master Rasta says, is it a tinfoil hat they're wearing? Cat says, kind of. Lockpick says, I'm going to design a jellyfish hat, and it shall be made of peanut butter. Cat says the dogs will absolutely love that, Lockpick. I don't care if cyborg jellyfish can wear hats. I do not want cyborg jellyfish. I don't care. I find this getting way too close to the plot of Watchmen. And that movie was a warning to all of us about what happens when you go playing with making stuff from underwater, such as jellyfish or squids. I don't want hat-wearing giant cyborg squids either. The hats make the jellyfish cyborgs? Cat says the hats make the jellyfish cyborgs, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. Lockpick says, I'm not comfortable how non-inclusive towards cyborg jellyfish this conversation is becoming. You're right, Lockpick. You're right. And to all the cyborg jellyfish and giant cyborg squid, I apologize. I should have an open mind about what we do with the world. I'm moving right along. This is yikes. Yikes. From the AP News, a different type of yikes. Rats get high on pot after eating evidence in police building. Take a step back to that last story for a second. Cat says 3D printed hat that contains a pacemaker-like device that lets scientists control the jellyfish and record what it sees. So it's mind control hats for jellyfish. Mind control cyborg hats for jellyfish. This sounds more and more like a plot from Doom Patrol, the DC ridiculous Master Rasta says, so a carrot on a stick with a GoPro cam. Cat says, yup. Yeah, I'm moving on to the rats getting high. Rats get high on pot after eating evidence in police building. From the article, rats have gotten into confiscated pot at New Orleans aging police headquarters, munching the evidence as the building is taken over by mold and cockroaches, said the city's police chief. Quote, the rats eating our marijuana, they all high. Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick told New Orleans City Council members.
So there was an eclipse.
It's not the Pied Piper. It's the Pot Piper. That wasn't a flute. Moving on to something from the Telegraph. Lockpick says, I hope they don't punish those rats. Nobody treats a rat well in prison. Well put, Lockpick. Well put. Moving on before the jokes get worse. From the Telegraph. Farmer facing jail for breeding massive hybrid sheep in Montana. From the article, prosecutors say he illegally used tissue and testicles from wild sheep killed by hunters in Central Asia and the U.S. to breed hybrid sheep for sale. End quote. The main problem is that the sheep he used are protected species internationally, and the court also heard how they are prohibited in Montana to protect native sheep from disease and hybridization. Lockpick beat me to the joke. Now that is an oddly specific fetish. And we're just going to move right along to something from ABC News. 100-year-old giant alligator. Master Rasta says, reckon I can get some giant chickens. Well, most of the Tory party are afraid of things. Do they count? Tractor Supply has a chicken that is 6 feet tall. Live chicken? Dead chicken? Or fake chicken? Because a 6 foot tall chicken isn't a chicken. That's called an ostrich. Cat says it's made of metal. Okay. 6 foot tall dead chicken. It's called Frankenstein's chicken. But it's made of metal. So it's Metallic chicken. Remember, if you go to pick up chicks, bend at the knees, keep your back straight, and lift with your legs. Next up from ABC News, 100-year-old giant alligator snapping turtle disappears on North Carolina highway to Reptile Expo. Alligator snapping turtle. No, those 3 words do not belong together. From the article, the turtle named Thanos, by his owner Dan Hemby, vanished from Hemby's vehicle on Sunday en route from Jacksonville, North Carolina, to the Durham Reptile Expo. Hemby told ABC affiliate WTVD. Mr. Henby believes Thanos was stolen at a rest stop near Benson, North Carolina. While it is possible that representatives of the Global Animal Freedom Foundation have a claw in this disappearance, our contact believes a snap occurred and Thanos was lost in a dust storm. At least that is what the translation software says. Frankenclock. Next up, from the AP News, bees cause a buzz and lengthy disruption at Indian Wells tennis during Alcaraz versus Zverev match. The article says a swarm of bees forced a nearly 2-hour disruption to the quarterfinal match between Carlos Alcaraz and Alexander Zverev at the BNP Paribas Open on Thursday. Alcaraz swatted at the bees buzzing around him before running for cover, and the match was suspended 19 minutes with Alcaraz serving tied at 1-1. The Spaniard went on to win 6-3, 6-1, 6-3 and 6-1 in less time than the delay of 1 hour and 48 minutes. I hope Zverev wasn't using the bees to cheat, because if he was, it was highly ineffective. I was really trying to write a bee pun there last night, but I realized I didn't want to. I just wanted to be real with y'all. Moving on to some more human news. From MSN.com, scientists have discovered why humans no longer have tails. Sounds like more nightmare fuel, but this is not the case mostly. The article is more a reason to fall asleep due to the scientific jargon, but for the most part it is talking about a study using mice to trace DNA, RNA, and missing deficient gene sequences, and how they relate to tails, and perhaps, eventually, spina bifida. That was almost a roller coaster of a story. Next up from the AP News, a Wisconsin ruling on Catholic charities raises the bar for religious tax exemptions. From the article, exemptions that allow religious organizations to avoid paying Wisconsin's unemployment tax don't apply to a Catholic charitable organization because its on-the-ground operations aren't primarily religious, a divided state Supreme Court ruled on Thursday. The outcome of the case, which drew attention and concern from religious groups around the country, raises the bar for all religions to show that their charity arms deserve such exemptions in the state. The Wisconsin court ruled 4-3 that the Superior-based Catholic Charities Bureau and its sub-entities' motivation to help older, disabled, and low-income people stems from Catholic teachings, but that its actual work is secular. In other words, they offer services that would be the same regardless of the motivation of the provider, a strong indication that the sub-entities don't operate primarily for religious purposes. Justice Ann Walsh Bradley wrote for the majority. While I can see the cause for alarm at losing part of your tax-exempt status, the fact that status was used not to pay unemployment taxes is rather stinky. Personally, if a group, organization, or whatever are employing people, they should be required to pay all the necessary taxes and fees. Skip out on federal and state income tax if you want, but you can't promote charity and then refuse to take care of your employees. That's rather hypocritical. Next up from MSN.com, right-wing boycotters take aim at another brand, not RC. Although, if RC does sponsor me, I'm sure that we can get them some sort of fuss in the news to bring their profile up. Maybe even to bring their profile up to all of the hate that Bud Light got. Sponsor me. Right-wing boycotters take aim at another brand, Doritos. This kind of has happened so frequently in the last year, there really isn't anything new to say, other than In this case, the comments that resurfaced are very vile, and Doritos is no longer working with the individual that wrote them. Yikes. Next up from the AP News. VJ Day kiss photo stays on display as VA head reverses department memo that would have banned it. From the article, the Veterans Affairs Secretary has reversed the department memo that is aimed to ban VA displays of the iconic VJ Day in Times Square photograph of a Navy sailor kissing a woman he did not know in the streets of New York at the end of World War II. Secretary Dennis McDonough acted hours after a copy of a memo from a Veterans Affairs Assistant Undersecretary requesting the photo's removal from all VA health facilities was shared on social media. The memo had said the photo depicts a non-consensual act. I don't know why that's in inverted commas, because it does depict a non-consensual act. They didn't know each other. He didn't ask. He just kissed her. And it is inconsistent with the department's sexual harassment policy, which is good. A well-meaning intention but poorly executed. The memo was unauthorized. The suggestion had not been discussed with anyone who had the authority to implement the action, and the photo isn't going anywhere. I think, though, even if they had executed this complaint in a more appropriate fashion, it would have been ignored. In fact, I'm guessing they probably did, and it probably was. And now is the time in the show when we like to bring you a word from our advertisers and our hopefully future advertisers. Reminds me of warm summer days, eating salted peanuts and drinking RC cola, maybe occasionally with a moon pie. Takes me back to my childhood. I do like me my RC cola. Cat says you need a moon pie. I did need a moon pie. I also need boiled peanuts. I need to put my boiled peanuts in my RC cola. Yes, sir. Let me take a sip of coffee there. Real coffee. Wash all that sugar out of my mouth, because that is... RC Cola is delicious, but kind of sweet. Just like me. The word this week that our sponsors would like to bring you is... a few words. Cressularite garnet. Chrysophrase. Prenhite. Vesuvianite. Are you sure you didn't just get your shopping list for beads mixed up with the words of the week? This looks like, it really does look like what the ASOC prod would go shopping for beads. We would also now, of course, like to thank our ASOC prod who, without whom none of this would be possible. Kat says, perhaps, but they are all green stones. Ooh. There's a green... That Aussie cola do give me the win sometimes. There's a green garnet. That sounds like a... That sounds like a Marvel C-rate superhero. Hi, I'm the Green Garnet. Let's get back to thanking our ASOC prod Cat, who has been writing most of the scripts for a while now. She's become the primary writer, and I've become the co-writer. Kat says it looks like peridot, but has different reflection to it. Ooh, I love that. Thank you, Kat. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you for all of the help you're giving us. Retro Future Now says, dab! Now! I don't think that was the dab that he meant. Trevor did a dabba do a dabba 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 do. Would you? Would you do a dabba did a dabba Trevor dabba dibba dabba 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 do? Who? Me? Me do a dabba did a dabba 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 did a dabba 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 do. Not on the stream. Retro. Not this time, not this show. Cat says, no, I spilled my tea. Retro Future Now says, I literally just woke up. Well, good morning, Retro. How is your Saturday starting? Superb, I hope. And other superlatives. We would also like to thank our correspondents, our UK correspondent. Who's that girl? It's Jess. And our Canadian correspondent from Canada, Robbie Nova, both of whom are streamers here on Twitch or over there on Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. We would also like to thank our Discord manager, Marina Ayan, at Human Tech Art, who we are delighted to be working with, and who did the panels and banner for the Twitch channel. If any of you have noticed the delightful change in the art, and hopefully we will have other work for her again soon. There are always bits of artwork that I'm sure I need. We would also like to shout out some dear friends here on Twitch, or over there on Twitch if you're watching this on YouTube. Jeffy Millimeter, the longest millimeter he is. Our friend D. Angela, that's D-E-E-E Angela. Her friend, her dear friend, Send Noodles, who is a wonderful person. Moosies, Busy Bell, Metamorpheus, Sleepy Scrubs, Evie something, Kiwi 007, spelled K-I-E-W-I 007, Bex Bexy, Baby Groot 92, Shende 20, Ghoulish Cutie, and DJ Lockpick, spelled L-O-K-P-I-Q-U, to pique your interest and lock it in place. And the whole Sunday No Pants Raid Train, as well as Master Rasta 420. We'd also like to thank Retro Future Now, a delightful DJ. Also DJ Lumi 242, DJ Jadzia Dax, and our dear friend, the amazing Wasabi, here or over there on Twitch. I'd also like to shout out a few friends from YouTube as well. Retro Future Now. We'll get back to thanking our YouTube friends in just a moment. But Retro Future Now says, I'm debating whether or not I want to actually do a stream this morning, or if I want to have my try my hand at installing the dash cam system I got. I called some car audio guys, said they'd do it for $340. Said it would be $340 for them to do it. Oh, don't worry about interrupting. That's what this section is about. I got some dash cams, and when I looked through the instructions, it didn't look too hard. I still haven't installed it, but it doesn't look terribly difficult. You know, if you follow the instructions, it should be okay. And if you have to go any deeper, the only thing I am a little iffy about is this one gets wired into your battery fuses. I'm not sure exactly how to get the wires through the firewall of my car specifically. Ooh. Is it a wiring harness? Is it like a wiring harness plug that you have to plug into something? Or are you going to have to connect the wires yourself? If it's a harness plug situation, that could be tricky. But if the wires are loose, you might be able to fish it through with something like with something like a electrician's fishing tape. Retro says, I think I'm going to go do everything up to that point and maybe have them do the rest. It has special taps that go into the fuse box to add additional circuits for the cameras because they're 24/7 motion activated surveillance. Yeah, you might wanna. I mean, I don't know. I know. So they have to go into a circuit that always has power. Yeah. Yeah, you may want to go to to pros. I mean, I know that I've added circuits to a house. I've rewired an entire house, put the panel box in, and so I have to think it's figure outable. But if you don't have a lot of history with it, I would go to pros. I have the fuse taps and probably the know-how. We'll see how it goes. I used to do HVAC and plumbing, so I am very comfy with low voltage stuff. Okay. Then yeah, you should be able to figure this out. I have faith in you, Retro. Getting it through the firewall. I mean, I just have to figure out how to get the wires through and find the right fuses. Yeah, it's the getting it through the firewall that I wouldn't go making any extra holes in your firewall. Seems like a bad idea. But if there's a hole that you can get it through, then that would be where I'd go for it, I think. Kat says follow the plugs for the radio clock. Retro says, yeah, it is honestly probably easier than I think. I bet there is a YouTube video. I bet there is. There's a YouTube video for almost everything. Betcha there's one that deals with specifically that brand of camera and that make of car. Retro says, okay, I am going to be brave and try this. We salute you, sir. And remember, a coward dies a million times. The brave taste of death but once. Yeah, but they do it first. Retro says, I will be lurking, but I won't be close. Thank you for the lurk, Retro. Retro says, I do like having first taste. Sloppy seconds are gross. Not gonna answer that because I don't give that kind of information out for free. Alright, Retro. Good luck. We're all behind you. Spam some hearts in chat for Retro Future now if you can. Oh, wait. Did I just tell Lockpick to spam something in chat? Let's see if Lockpick's learned out the spamming technique that I use. And while we wait for this to happen, I'd like to shout out some YouTube friends as well. The talented music producers Pan's Delight and Paula Haunt. Paula Haunt has dropped a few new tracks recently. They are wonderful. They're just so much fun. As well as our friend Elliot, who is a visual artist and a writer under the moniker of Mango Pudding on Wattpad. Although he is writing another novel. I don't know where he's releasing it yet, but it's not going to be on Wattpad. I will give you further details as I get them. He also does some video game playthroughs. Detroit Become Human and Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of fun. We'd also like to shout out our friend Lucy 2001, who is a talented young actress from off the coast of Scotland. Jawan Lewis, who is a video essayist and dropper of truth with a brilliant and sly sense of humor. And finally, we would like to almost got there. We would like to thank our friends on other platforms. Starting with our dear friend Oshay of Oshays Beautiful Things. Go and check out some of her beautiful things. Some of her beautiful things only I get to check out. Over at Oshays Beautiful Things. North Yorkshire's own Jennifer Weston, artist extraordinary and dear friend. And our ASOC Prod wishes to give a shout out to @Fritz Fishing on TikTok. Those channel catfish looked nice, and you got 2 in 5 minutes. Our creators merch sites section, which is growing, and if we've forgotten anybody's merch, we will try to remedy that. Stream Elements. Let's start with Who's That Girl. Store.streamelements.com/Who's That Girl. Dassen __. Store.streamelements.com/Dassen __. Akika Calde merch. Streamlabs.com/AkikaCalde/merch. Unfortunately, Jeffy Millimeter has had to suspend his merch operations for the moment, so we will be letting you know where you can get more Jeffy Millimeter merch in the future. Of course, O'Shea's Beautiful Things over at O'Shea's Beautiful Things. And DJ Lockpick at store.streamelements.com/LOKPIQU. Lockpick. And Retro Future Now at retrofuturenow-shop.fourthwall.com. When we come back from the equinox break, we will work on restructuring some of that. It occurs to me that in my thanking my Twitch friends, didn't say anything about Akika Calde or Dassen __. But then mentioned them in the merch store area, and it's sort of, maybe I should have moved that. Some channel news before we move on. There will be no stream tomorrow because Kat and I are taking a trip over the hills to Highland County, to the Highland County Maple Festival, where we will be hopefully getting good video footage and putting together a field trip, gastrophilia field trip video for y'all. I'm personally very excited about that. Don't know if Kat is, but I assume so. I am excited for the donuts. There is a possibility that there will be apple cider maple glazed donuts. It's not a certainty, but it is a possibility that I will find those. We will also be taking a brief break for the spring equinox for a couple of weeks. Spring equinox is coming up in the middle of next week. So maybe about two or 3 week break. We'll play it by ear, see what happens. We may do some general chaos episodes during that time. And any of you who are available for that, Master Rasta, if you want to come cause some chaos, and of course, Lockpick, we love your brand of chaos here. We have dubbed the General Chaos. So, yeah, that would be, we'll be looking at something like that for a few weeks. Yeah. Well, all right. I believe that is our big stream news. Oh yeah, I'll still be doing the Thursday We Are streams with Darth Dragonus, the Sith Lord. Oh boy. It's time for Michigan again, eh? From the Midwest to our great northern neighbor to the north, Canada. I'm Michigan, and this is What's Up North, eh? I figured we should talk about the election coming up, eh? So I started with the question, how do elections in Canada work, eh? And the first answer I got was, better than they do in the US. So we're going to discuss the upcoming federal elections in Canada. We will be covering this in bits and pieces over the next several months, hopefully. But tonight we're going to start with a brief overview. The Canadian federal elections are a self-described winner-take-all affair called the first-past-the-post system, with a 338-seat parliament. I need to double-check that number, but I think that's what it said. And as Lockpick taught us last week, it's a representative democracy where the citizens vote for a party that most represents their beliefs instead of an individual who shapes the direction of the party and eventually the nation. And always give extra space to truck drivers. The bigger it is, the more space you should give it before pulling back in. It then falls on members of Parliament to build a functioning coalition to govern. The major parties, according to Copilot, are the Liberal Party of Canada, the oldest federal party founded in 1867 with a centrist or center-left ideology. The Conservative Party of Canada, the successors to the Progressive Conservative Party, founded in 2003 with a center-right or right-wing ideology. the New Democratic Party, or NDP, a social democratic party founded in 1961 with left-wing or center-left ideology. The Bloc Québécois, a regional party founded in 1991 that advocates for Quebec sovereignty and social democracy. Like Texas, if Texas were smart. And the Green Party of Canada, an environmentalist party founded in 1983 that promotes ecological and social justice. We hopefully will be giving you a more lengthy, more in-depth list of the parties, who their leaders are, and what they stand for. But for right now, be aware that there is an election coming up in Canada. It's kinda important. And they're actually deciding on whether the Canadian people themselves are deciding on whether or not that election should happen this year or next year. And somehow, it sounds a whole heck of a lot better than what we've got going on here.
Fell across the land, leading some to believe that the world was ending, that our time here was over, that there was nothing left for us but darkness, fear, and ruin.
Please, DJ Lockpick, if you would fact check us on any of that. And I will also be running this by our friend, our Canadian correspondent, Robbie Nova, to get her opinion on all of this as well. I kind of feel like I can say almost anything in the Michigan voice, and even if it doesn't become funny, it at least is amusing. Now moving along to a much more serious segment, the war on education. Not to say that it isn't without its humorous moments, but the war on education is never a good thing. First up, from the Washington Examiner via MSN.com, Fairfax County Public Schools deceives taxpayers with per-pupil spending and legal expenses. Fairfax County is not that far from where I am seated right now. Fairfax County, Virginia, is raising taxes and households. Fairfax County is raising taxes, and households in the county can expect an increase of roughly $525 this year alone. Meanwhile, district administrators are gaslighting taxpayers about per-pupil spending. On March 6th, they sent an email to parents complaining that Virginia's public school districts receive less state funding than public schools in other states. That might be intended to distract us from the fact that per-pupil spending in Fairfax County is substantially higher than the national average. In the 2024 budget, the annual cost per K-12 public school pupil in Fairfax County was $19,795. Almost 20 grand per pupil per year. The district has spent about $26 million in just legal fees. In fiscal 2024, the adopted budget allocated $1.975 million for legal fees, but the revised spending ended up being $7.974 million. That's a difference of $6 million. That's amazing. That's a lot of legal fees. $6 million in legal fees? in the fiscal 2025 adopted budget, the district gaslights us with a repeated 1.97 million allocation for legal fees, but it likely will be much higher, end quote. $6 million in legal fees. That's not quite, presidential in nature yet. But it's getting up to senatorial level of legal fees. $6 million. If a school needs $6 million in legal fees, that school is obviously doing something very, very wrong. Kat says they have at least 4 different lawsuits going at the moment. Do we know what those 4 are? I mean, is this Liberty University level lawsuits? $6 million in legal fees sounds, sort of at the Liberty University level. If they hadn't have, tried to make it go away. Wow. That worries me. Because are other Virginia schools missing out on funding because of this? Are the Virginia schools that I'm going to be sending Lil Z? Kat says 3 of them, yes. The most recent is kind of Florida level. Well, that worries me. Yeah, are these legal fees taking money out of other school budgets? Are our friends the teachers not getting paid what they should be getting paid because they're acting the fool in Fairfax County? I mean, is Lil Z gonna get... I have opinions on this. I obviously have opinions on this. Kat says probably in the long run. Now, if those legal fees are fights to keep books on shelves, okay, I guess. I get why you need the legal fees in that case. But around here, those legal fees are probably more likely about getting books off of shelves. And that worries me. Kat says, nope. Not about keeping books on shelves? I didn't think so. Are they about teachers keeping hands to themselves? You know what? Don't answer that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. All right. We're going to move right along to something from AP News. Some good news from AP News. Florida teachers... Kat says, like I said, 3 are like Liberty. Yeah, we're just gonna... And walk away. Walk away. From the AP News, Florida teachers can discuss sexual orientation and gender ID under Don't Say Gay bill settlement. To quote my ASOC prod when I mentioned this to her, what happened? Did DeSandals get eaten by a rabid Texan? To which I said, close enough. A student's two mothers stood up for common sense, and to quote the article, this settlement clarifies what is allowed in Florida classrooms following passage 2 years ago of the law prohibiting instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in early grades. Opponents said the law had created confusion about whether teachers could identify themselves as LGBTQ+, or if they could even have rainbow stickers in classrooms, end quote. Common sense clobbers confusion and cloudy, cryptic, cruel, crepuscular congressional contract. Pardon me. I'm going to have to go through that again. Not RC giving me the wind. Common sense clobbers confusion and cloudy, cryptic, cruel, crepuscular congressional contract. Court comments clears and cools climate communication circulating via cyberspace. There we go. I got it. And now, that was a nice segue into our last segment. The segment I know you all have been waiting for so patiently this entire show. The segment in which we ask weekly, why, Florida, why? And weekly the answer seems to be, because it's Florida. Florida, the Florida of the U.S. First up, from the Washington Post. Appeals court blocks Florida Stop Woke Act, says it's a First Amendment sin. From the article, quote, a federal appeals court upheld a ruling Monday that blocked Florida from enforcing a law backed by Governor Ron DeSantis that restricts how private companies teach diversity and inclusion in the workplace. A 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit ruled Monday that the Stop Woke Act exceeds the bounds of the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and expression in its attempts to regulate workplace trainings on race, color, sex, and national origin. The appeals court upheld the federal judge's August 2022 ruling that said the same. End quote. The Stop Woke Act sounds like it was DeSantis saying, I have freedom of speech, but no one else can. And I personally, considering I'm here speaking my mind, appreciate freedom of speech. And as unfortunate as it is, if I have it, everyone should have it. Even though not everybody's speech is worth hearing, everyone should be able to say most of the things. I do understand the things that they're not allowed to say for public safety. But free speech goes both ways. Next up, from the Miami Herald. Big shark seen feasting off dead whale, Florida video shows. This probably should have been in an earlier segment, but it was getting full. Hungry sharks have descended on a 70,000-pound whale that died along Florida's Gulf Coast, proving authorities were wise to tow it 15 miles out to sea. It is currently unknown what caused the whale to beach itself, but swimming in the area had been banned for a stretch of 5 miles of beach in the area due to concerns for Floridians harming the ocean dwellers.
Night fell across the land, leaving some
They're not afraid of sharks hurting Floridians. They're afraid of Floridians hurting sharks. That should tell you something. We have to protect the apex predators of this planet from Florida stupidity. Next up, from Bear and Falanced Fox News, DeSantis details alarming find aboard Haitian migrant boat seized off Florida coast. From the Bear and Falanced article, quote, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced on Friday that state law enforcement had intercepted a vessel coming to the Florida coast carrying dozens of Haitian migrants, as well as firearms, drugs, and night vision gear. Quote, our Florida Fish and Wildlife Office is interdicted, strange choice of word there for DeSantis, a vessel that had 25 illegal immigrants, potential illegal immigrants from Haiti in their boat. In their vessel, they had firearms, they had drugs, they had night vision gear, and were boating very recklessly, which would potentially endanger other folks. DeSantis said, adding that the interdiction had occurred recently in the last few weeks. End quote. And then DeSantis woke up from his puerile adolescent daydream. Normally, when people can't tell reality from fantasy, we call it insanity or dementia. But I think the GOP calls it electability. Shark rides, $5 each. And next up, from USA Today, Fox Light. Florida mom tried selling daughter to stranger for $500. Then abandoned the baby, police say. The woman spent several days loitering near a business in Palatica, Florida. An anonymous citizen employed at the local business began speaking to the mother that day, March 5th, and asked if she and her daughter needed assistance, police said. The woman told the individual that she did not need help, but then offered to sell her daughter to them for $500, according to Politica's police's response. That was hard to say. When the employee declined the mother's offer, the mother walked away and left her daughter behind, police said. The employee took the child to the police station and now is in foster care. The woman was found and arrested on March 7th. And that is some old Florida stuff for you. This is very Florida. But also from USA Today, we are going to end with something a little more lighthearted. A daydream come true. Florida woman celebrates 106th birthday at Walt Disney World Resort. From the article, Magnolia Jackson rang in her 106th birthday at the Walt Disney World Resort Wednesday, surrounded by family, friends, as well as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, according to Disney Parks' new release. End quote. This means she should be entering into the realm of public domain soon. Well, thank you, friends, for joining us once again for another episode of Weekly Broken News with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. And as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. I'm out, y'all.
Night fell across the land. So there was an eclipse.